continue what we were discussing last week on the subject of delay. Proverbs 6, verse 6. Go to the ant, you slacker, observe its ways and become wise. Without leader, administrator, or ruler, it prepares its provisions in summer. It gathers its food during harvest. How long will you stay in bed, you slacker? When will you get up from your sleep? A little sleep and a little slumber, a little folding of the arms to rest, and your poverty will come like a robber, your need like a bandit. We were discussing the basic reasons why, we are trying to understand some basic reasons why people delay in turning to God. Well, I think 2 weeks ago or last week, whichever comes first, our kids went back to school. Okay, they were given the requirements of their classes, what books they have to read, the number of homework that they have to finish, perhaps. And I'll tell you, guaranteed, some of our students, or generally some students, will look at those and they'll say it's easy, or they have plenty of time. And they will delay fulfilling some of these requirements, and then come last 2 weeks of the class, they'll say they have no more time. And some of them actually will begin to appeal to their teachers, saying they need more time, but they slacked off actually. That's delay, okay? It's the same thing with our relationship with God. And last week, I think we were discussing part of the reason why people delay in turning to God is, of course, we discussed sin, all of those things. But there is this concept that it is very easy to save. In fact, the way we present is, hey, salvation is really very easy. You don't have to do anything. That is a big lie. I don't know where people really get it, but the Bible even talks about the fact that narrow is the gate. Now, if salvation is that easy, how come people struggle? How come we struggle? Because remember, our salvation is, Jesus came to save us from our sins. So salvation is from our sins. If salvation is that easy, then how come we struggle so much against sin? Now, of course, some people say, well, Jesus did everything. No, he did not. He did everything we could not do. But there are certain things we should do. Like Jesus could not believe for us. So what God did is planted seeds of faith in our hearts, but we have to act on it. We are exempting ourselves from personal responsibilities, which is what a lot of people today want. But no, there is this personal responsibility thing. Let's look, for example, at the current events in Ukraine and in Israel, where there is war going on. You know how many, I think the U.S. Gave, I don't know, maybe $200 billion to Ukraine or something ridiculous like that in terms of arms and munitions. You know, the moment those weapons are dropped, they are free. That's part of the aid that U.S. give to other countries. So they were dropped in their country. Now, they will never win the war because the weapons are dropped. They could not buy it. They cannot manufacture it. I mean, their industry is basically paralyzed, so they could not do any of that. So here comes the aid. Because they could not do that, these weapons and munitions were dropped in their backyard. They cannot win the war even if they are given those weapons. Why? Because they have to pick up those weapons and use it. The U.S. will never use it for them. Same thing with Israel. You know, we're seeing, for example, right now, Israel can win. This is the longest war that Israel has ever been engaged in. I mean, we're closing in to 1 year. You know, so this is the longest war. They normally have 6 days of war or 2 days. They finish it right away. But they could not even finish it. They have air superiority. They have brain superiority. I mean, they have superiority over their enemies. Hamas is not even a country, you know. It's a terrorist group, but they could not just annihilate them. Why? Because of the pressures from the outside. So what Jesus did in our salvation is this. What you cannot do, He did. What we could not pay, He paid. However, we have a part in that salvation. In fact, in the scriptures, there are passages that says, "Go save yourselves from this evil wrath. Go save yourself from this generation. Work out your own salvation with much trembling and fear." Now, that is addressed to us. Yes, salvation, the part that we cannot do, is easy because Jesus did everything for us. Now, some people say, well, salvation is free. It's free, but not really free because Jesus paid for all of it. You know, the immigrants here, the illegal immigrants here right now are having a heyday because there are states that are thinking about building housing for them. I mean, they're talking about $30,000 of free money for these illegal immigrants so that they can buy their house. No $30,000 free money for the citizens, but for them. So say it's free money. No, it's not. It's not free money. That is a big lie. We are paying for it. Whether we like it or not, we are paying for it. They could not come up with $30,000, but we are paying for it. So there is always a role that each and every one of us has to pay. Now, one of the examples that we mentioned last week to illustrate that was Lot and his family. Well, the instruction was leave the city right away, and the place was given. Well, Lot was not willing to go there. But then the wife decided, and the instruction was, do not look back, do not turn back, just like us. In the book of Hebrews, it is very clear we are forbidden from looking back. Why? Because if we look back, the Bible is very clear, then we will have a chance to be tempted and go back. You know, the moment you keep looking back to where you came from, you will have a chance to be enticed and go back to it. Well, the wife of Lot decided, I don't know what she left. Maybe she left her jewelry or makeup or something like that. Maybe she left some of her cabinets, you know. So she looked back and she became a pillar of salt. She should not have looked back. Now, some people, based on the scriptures, when we look back, it gives us the opportunity to go back. That's why there is a part that we should be playing in this salvation scheme. Everything that we cannot do, God did. But there are certain things that we can do. Okay? Now, there is also this concept. The reason why people delay turning to God is because of their ignorance of the state of sin. Do we really understand or do we really have a grasp of what it means to be in a state of sin? Just to illustrate a little bit, let's compare it to addiction. When Duterte was president in the Philippines, he found out that the Philippines is a, how do you call that? Narco-politics. Okay? They found out that some of the heads of these drug rings are generals, governors, senators, congressmen, chief of police. And so he wants to clean house. He could not clean house. Because at first he thought there's something like 200,000 drug addicts. And then it mushroomed. It became over 2 million. And then he said, no, there's a lot more than that. It's a narco-politics. And he found out he could not demolish the drug chain because of the names and the influences involved. Okay? So, that becomes, he's already a very tough guy. When we were in Davao last mission, they were talking to us about how tough Duterte was. Because in his city, there's no smoking. You can't smoke in a hotel, in a park, anywhere. You can't smoke. It's because he's dying because of smoking. He's got cancer, and so there is no smoking. But some people doesn't know the gravity of that problem. So they were telling us this like a very famous hotel in Davao. And there's this American uh, person there. He decided to lit a cigarette and smoke in the lobby of the hotel. And one of the attendant came to him and said, "Sir, it's illegal to smoke in Davao. You cannot smoke in the hotel." And the American started bragging, saying, "No, nobody can stop me. I can smoke," and he smoked, you know. And but there is a city ordinance; you cannot smoke in Davao. So they called Duterte, and of all people, they called Duterte, and the mayor came. And we were told that the mayor went to this American and say, either you eat the cigarette that you lit up, or you're going to experience something you never experienced before. And the guy told us, in the sight of everybody, the guy ate the cigarette. Why? Because he knew Duterte meant business. You may agree with him or disagree with him, he meant business. And so the guy was even laughing. This American thought he could just get away with it. And he said in front of everybody, Duterte made him eat the cigarette. Because if he doesn't eat that, he said, you're going to experience something you have never experienced before. Now that is in the human level. Whether the story is true or not, how much of it is true or not, I don't know. For me, it's a funny story. But that is the story. Now, some of us really don't appreciate what sin is and the kind of influence that it has on our life. Sin is something that Jesus wiped away from us. However, sin has what you call as influence. You know how Israel left Egypt? But when Israel left Egypt, Egypt went with Israel. In fact, when they made the golden calf, where in the world did they get that idea? From Israel. And the way they worship when they made the golden calf, that's purely Egyptian. That means the influence of Egypt was still in Israel. Left the physical land of Egypt, but the spirit of Egypt went with them. Now God already redeemed them, and I think that's a very good concept of our salvation. Jesus wiped our sins away. But are we bringing sin with us? And I don't know about you, but if we will be honest, there are certain sins, there are certain weaknesses that are just very difficult to get rid of. The moment they take root in our lives. I mean, forget sin. just think about habits. There are certain habits that are very difficult to get rid of. Simply because you grew up with it, you know. They say that in any discipline, for example, in martial arts, the person that's very difficult to teach under a new master is somebody with a master before. Say you have been studying a discipline and then you move to another discipline and you're going to start all over again. They say that's the most difficult student to teach because they think they already know something. The moment, I remember in our class years ago, again, you will be asked in the school how many of you have already handled a gun, and very few people raise their hands because it's Philippines, you know, and very few people. It's a gun nation, but it was very expensive. But I remember when we were being introduced to this M1 Garand, the Second World War weapon of the U.S. Army, and those are the real guns that we were handling. And the instructor said, he was a sergeant in the Philippine military, says, has any of you ever handled an M1 rifle before? And of course, no, we did not. Nobody was able to handle it before. And the instructor was very happy. He said, good, very good, that no one was able to handle it before. And we were all high schoolers and wondering, why is it good? And he said this, because you don't know anything. It's easier for me to teach you because you don't know anything. And he said, anything that I teach you, that is exactly what you will do. I don't know if some of you remember in your ROTC, we will assemble and disassemble the ground, and there's a contest how fast you can do it. And you can do it quickly simply because you don't know it before and you were taught the process. And so it stays with you. Okay? Now, when we get saved, we already know sin. And the ways of sin is something that a lot of times, if not most of the time, is very difficult to get rid of. And if you, that's why we survive, we thrive because of the grace of God. The problem that we have is when we claim independence. When we begin to say, well, I have the power of God, I can do everything now. Well, no. The way God designed it is, He saved you, He wants to keep you saved, you attach yourself to Him, He wants you to keep yourself attached to Him. That's why we keep communication with Him. That's why one of the things that the enemy does in the desire to destroy us is, number one, he takes away the word from us. Number two, he takes away the church from us. Takes away the fellowship. That's why if churches are not doing the will of God or not teaching the word of the Lord, then effectively the enemy was able to remove that from us. Okay? One of the, not too long ago, I was reading this news. There is a, and the argument I'm reading in the newspaper, there's a group of evangelical Christians. They call them Evangelicals for Harris, Vice President Harris. These are evangelical Christians who say, Harris has the character, she has the personality to lead the U.S. to the next, to its future. And I was wondering, well, these are evangelical Christians, and good names, big names. In fact, the school where I graduated from, Garrett in Northwestern, they have, I received a newsletter from them, and they have a gathering, of course, because I graduated, I was invited. They have a gathering wherein they will show everybody how Harris is the best candidate to run the country. Now that is a few miles away from here. That's Northwestern University, supposedly a very intelligent school, you know. And well, supposedly, because I've told you what I think about these Ivy League schools. They're the ones destroying our nation. They're graduates running our nations, and here it's called Garrett Evangelical Theological Seminary, and they have a gathering proving that she is the best candidate. And so now the Christians are divided. I was listening to I don't know who I was listening to. As far as the Jews are concerned, they say the Orthodox Jews will support Trump. The liberal Jews always supports the Democrats. And the guy was arguing, saying, and I don't know why it is. Now, these are supposedly the most intelligent people on earth. They say, we don't even think. He said, we don't even think. If you are a liberal Jew, you vote Democrat. If you're an Orthodox Jew, you vote Republican. And he said, the amazing thing, you don't even think. You just don't think. That is the influence of sin, in illustration. Because even if we already get saved, sin was able to attach itself to us. We were washed from all our sins, but the instinct developed. And remember, the moment a person lives in sin, it's not only sin, it's living under wrath. John 3 verse 36. The one who believes in the Son has eternal life, but the one who rejects the Son will not see life. Instead, the wrath of God remains in him. The word remains means abide in him. Never left him. It remains in him. That's why we have to be very careful. Today, very common, people are mocking Jesus. And it says here, the one who rejects the Son will not see life. This is actually self-murder, or we can call it spiritual suicide. Ezekiel chapter 18, verse 31. Ezekiel 18:31. Throw off all the transgressions you have committed, and get yourselves a new heart and a new spirit. Why should you die, house of Israel? You know, I keep saying, we keep saying before that when we get born again, we're given a new heart. And we keep explaining it's a new spirit. Because the idea of a new heart, it can't be a physical heart. But then here from this passage, Throw up all the transgressions you have committed and get yourselves a new heart and a new spirit. Why should you die, house of Israel? Now, this is generations after Exodus. Generations after Exodus. They were saved from Egypt. Egypt is a symbol of sin. They were saved from sin. And you know, here it explains why Israel kept going back to sin. Because they never took for themselves a new heart and a new spirit. And here it is a command. It says here, get yourselves a new heart and a new spirit. Meaning, they left Egypt, but they never get a new heart. Meaning, it is our responsibility to renew our hearts, to change our hearts. To change heart is to change affection. To change a spirit is to change inclinations. Okay? For example, if you are married before and you get divorced, well, you may love so much your spouse, but you get divorced. The moment you get divorced and you remarry, you have to get yourself a new heart. Because the old heart belongs to the old spouse. If you don't get a new heart, it will be chaos in your marriage. And that's why it is important that we say, hey, change your heart. Change your heart. I mean, David changed my heart, oh God. Why? Because the inclinations of his heart were from his previous life. So the question, for example, is, what are the inclinations of our hearts? I have heard so many Christians say this, well, you know, it was better before I got born again. I have so many friends. Your heart has not changed. You try to enter into a relationship with God, but your heart did not change. You did not change your heart. And so this is one of the commands, change your heart. If our hearts are not changed, our affections, our inclinations will never change. We will keep going back to that old life. And that is the struggle that they have in the New Testament. Because people keep going back to the old life. Now, you don't have to be very old to have that old heart, but there are inclinations in the heart. You know, I told you before I got born again, because of poverty, my goal was just finish college, get myself a job, and leave home. That is what was in my heart. Well, I got born again. I got born again. And I believe it's the grace of God. That heart changed. I don't like that anymore. I want to go to the ministry. That's the inclination of my heart. That even if there's a job offered to me after I graduated, I mean, even my school was offering that I teach in our school, even if there is an opportunity to make more money, my heart is not there. The heart changed. And so I wanted to be a minister. And so because my heart changed, no amount of offer, no amount of other stuff can take it. My heart, if you ever notice when you decide on something, like our kids, when they want to buy shoes, and the parents are saying, don't buy that shoes, it's an ugly shoes. But their heart belongs to that shoes. Right, DJ? The heart belongs to that shoes. And my wife will explain to my kids, that's not leather, or that's not good. And my wife will try to explain, look at the sole, look at the texture. And my kids will come to me and say, Papa, this is the shoes I want. Mama, don't want it. And they are complaining. And my idea is I'll look to my wife and I'll say, let them buy it. And my wife will say, yeah, but these are good shoes. I said, well, you will not wear it. I said, and my wife will say, sweetheart, look, it looks ugly. I said, I know it's ugly. You will not wear it. Let them look ugly. You know, and then, so they will buy the shoes and they'll put it on and they will insult each other. Or sometimes they wear it once and somebody comment, well, an ugly shoes. The moment somebody makes a comment on ugly shoes, they'll come to my wife and say, Mama, do you think we can return it? And my wife will say, why? Well, they will not be honest, but somebody made a comment. You look ugly. Okay? And unless somebody makes a comment, you look ugly, and that is a person that they know had some influence in their lives, they'll keep doing what they're doing. And my wife, the woman who gave birth to them, the woman who cares for them and loves them, will tell them, this is not good. They will not listen to my wife until somebody says, you look ugly on that shoes. Then they would want to return it. What happened then? Heart never changed. So we have to examine what are the inclinations of our hearts. Because if we don't change the inclinations of our hearts, It, you know, in missions, I keep saying we're looking for partners. We're looking for people that will not take advantage of us. We'll always be taken advantage of, but we're looking for people who will who will not take advantage of us. You know, all through these years, I'm still looking for that. My heart is there. And sometimes it annoys me when I feel like I'm being taken advantage of in missions field. I'm not settling saying, you know, this is how Filipinos are, this is how it is. No, my heart doesn't belong there. And sometimes I'll say, oh, well, I'd rather stop this seminar here, go somewhere else where I can find partners. Because my heart belongs to that setup. Okay? So what is the inclination of your heart? Now, the Bible says the inclination of human heart is evil. It's in the Old Testament when God was about to judge the earth and bring in the flood. The inclination of every man is evil. And again, during the confusion of blankets, no one can stop them for whatever they want to do. That's where the heart is. And so it is important for us to realize, yes, we are born again, but have we taken for ourselves a new heart? Because again, we have to renew our minds. So no matter how rebellious the house of Israel was, God is still telling them, you have to turn away. Why? Because God loves them. You know, the Bible says God takes no pleasure on the death of sinners. Sometimes when we witness, it seems like we're very happy. Yeah, you're going to go to hell. Well, God takes no pleasure in them because God has pure love. He has no pleasure. He has no pleasure in sin. He has no pleasure in hell, that He warns us. And you will notice that the heart of the Lord is in righteousness. So no matter what we say and where human beings go, God still points them to the right path. Here is the way, walk ye in it. Why? Because that's the only proper path. We keep compromising, but God never changed. So that is ignorance on what sin is. You can compare today to sickness. Some people don't realize how important time is in terms of sickness. We lost somebody before in this church, breast cancer. You know, the husband found out it's stage 4. After it was stage 4, and Anne's sister, who's a doctor, was shaking her head. She said, she doesn't have to die. Well, they choose alternative medicine. Now, I have nothing against alternative medicine. I have something against wrong medicine, okay? Because this is, I think, where we have to use logic. Are we consulting people with knowledge in medical science? Or are we consulting the Filipino mangkepweng, you know? You're American, so you don't know that. Len told Anne, 78% of people with breast cancer survive, 78%. And she said, especially when you discover you have breast cancer, stage 1. He said, that can be controlled down. We have the technology, it can be stopped. You know, you will not totally be cured of that, of course, you will be in remission, but it can be stopped. Well, somebody decided alternative medicine. Because a lot of people, have you noticed with the growth of herbal medicine, a lot of people became very smart. They have difficulty finishing high school, and then suddenly they become doctors. I was talking to Brother Willie at one time. Willie is bothered, he said, you know, I've noticed there's a growth of herbal medicine in the U.S. I said, yeah. And he said, I have noticed also, you have a lot of herbal practitioners in the U.S. now. I said, yeah. And Willie said, that is dangerous. I said, what do you mean? That's organic, that's just herbs. He said, no. He said, that's dangerous. He said, it's like medicine. It's not processed like the Western medicine. But there is, you know, when we take medicine, this for this, and then they will take a second medicine, it's not for the sickness, but to offset the ill effect of the medicine. Some of you who are in medication are actually taking medicines to offset your medicines. So you ask yourself, why take the medicine? Because the medicine has something that will try to stop whatever disease you have. But then it has side effect. And so now, here is your main medicine. You take another medicine to offset the side effect of this medicine. But this one who offsets some of the side effect also have side effect. So you take another medicine. And Willie said, herbs are like that. He said, and I'm very concerned, he said, because we will go to the store and Willie has the patience, he will read through the ingredients and said, these are wrong ingredients. And he told me this. Because, by the way, Brother Willie knows Chinese medicine because he's a Kung Fu master. He said it's very easy to kill. It's very difficult to heal. So he said, in real Kung Fu, the first thing you learn is how to heal. After you learn how to heal, then they will teach you how to kill, because killing, he said, is easy. But healing is, that's why Brother Willie actually studied herbal medicine. And he said, a lot of this that I'm reading in the U.S., he said, they are all wrong. He said, there is no countervailing medicines against its side effects. And he said, this is bothersome. He said, this is bothersome. Why? Because they're not experts. But of course, a lot of people are like, sin is the same. Sin has ill effects. Yes, we have been saved. Jesus paid for all that we cannot pay for. He did everything we cannot do. But it has ill effects. Number one, it plays with our mind. It plays with our minds. You're already saved, but your mind is, oh, I used to do this. What is the solution? The word of the Lord, renewing your mind. And then you say, well, I know that person is not good for me. He's evil or she is evil. But I love him. I love her. What is the problem there? Take yourself a new heart. This is what we read. And people doesn't know how to take upon themselves a new heart. Now, how do you take upon yourself a new heart? You need to learn how to feel how God feels. That's why sometimes it is, Brother Willie always tells me, well, because you have no heart. And he said, all I have are intestines, Well, actually, the way I look at this is what the Bible says. I will feel that way. So I have no difficulty walking away if it is sin. I have no difficulty even with relationships. My wife tells me that there's abnormality in my family because, some of you make regular calls with your family in the Philippines. I don't. And maybe some of you during Christmas you call your family in the Philippines and Merry Christmas. I don't. I don't greet them happy birthday. Well, number one, I don't know their birthday. I was just wired that way. Now, is it wrong? Of course, in the natural, it's not good. But my heart doesn't belong to those things. I look at my stuff and I say, well, I don't use it anymore. I throw it away. And my wife will say, well, what if one day you use it? I'll say, I'll buy it again. I said, if you're going to buy it again, why throw it away? I said, because it's garbage. It's taking up space. If I need it, and maybe I will not, most probably I will not need it, but if I don't need it, it will take up space. I said, and maybe when I need it and it stays here, it's already bad. I can no longer use it. And have you ever kept some food in your refrigerator? You say, because what if I cannot cook? I will just heat it up. So you store and you put it at the back, New ones at the front. Then one day something smells. Well, the food developed mold because you're very emotionally attached to it. I don't know, I'll throw them away. And my wife will say, well, you're wasting food. No, I'm not wasting food. You want me to put it inside? And I will get fat, You want me to just, I said, I'll throw them away. But she will save everything. And then one day, oh, something smells. It's not right anymore. Because you're so attached. You have not changed your heart. Now, there is a point in our walk with God, and then where we be like Lot. God says, run. Flee from this place. Can you imagine if it is, thank God Lot is not a Filipino. If Lot is a Filipino, he would have died. Because the first thing that Lot will do is look for boxes. Let's put everything in the boxes. Well, God told Lot, leave, just run. Because fire is about to consume this place. Brimstone and sulfur is about to be poured in this place. Run! Well, if it is us, wait. Let me get some balikbayan boxes, Let me buy some horses. Let me get some carts and pull them away. We will bring our house. And God says, no, run. God did not say, oh, sayang, I bless you with it. No, sayang, you're about to die. And sometimes we cannot part ways with things. That's the grip of sin in our lives. And Christians keep saying, well, I can overcome. Without the grace of God, you cannot overcome. There is no way. I'm telling you right now, there is no way you can overcome yourself by yourself. You need the grace of God. And to facilitate that, our hearts has to change. If our hearts belong to the past, it will keep going back to the past. And also there is this ignorance aside from that. What is involved when we delay turning to God? Well, first of all, if somebody is sick in your family and you say, hey listen, why don't you get proper medical attention? And the person will say, well, no, I can bear it. You're young. You need to be able to take medicine and take care of yourself. You know why we do that? Because we don't value ourselves. If you don't take care of yourself, you actually don't value yourself. Have you ever wondered? Things are changing, I know, but have you ever have you ever wondered why some people dress the way they do? They look like trash. Yeah. Where were we yesterday? We were shopping yesterday, right? And we saw these two young people, and they were wearing pants. I don't know where the pants came from, but it was ugly. And of course, the thing is, that's the fad right now. It really looks ugly. And before it will just be a slit on the knee, right? Now there's all over the pants. And it really looks ugly. And I was saying, that is ugly. And DJ's reaction is always, be quiet, Papa. Because that it really looks ugly. But they feel good looking ugly. And you can't do anything about that. They love looking ugly. You know why they love looking ugly? They don't value themselves. It's really human dignity that we do things that are not appropriate. Okay? We are so ignorant on how valuable our souls are. Matthew 16:26. For what will it benefit someone if he gains the whole world yet loses his life? Or what will anyone give in exchange for his life? We are so busy trying to develop our careers, trying to develop our wealth, trying to develop our status in society. The Lord is not a bit concerned about any of those things as a priority. Yeah. Because Jesus clearly says, what will it benefit you if you gain the whole world and lose your soul? Okay. What will it benefit you? Okay, you are known for something. Well, what will benefit you? I was surprised that that band Kiss, I think the lead person is Alice Cooper. I was watching a documentary. It turned out he's born again. And he's now involved with some youth activities aimed at helping the youth. He was a drug addict. He said, I just walk away from it. Because he was dying. But you should see Alice Cooper when he was a rock superstar. He looks ugly. And in fact, he looks so ugly and so nasty because of drugs and all the paints he puts on his face. Now he is born again and clean. He still looks ugly. I mean, I wish I can say he looks beautiful. No, no, he doesn't. Because the effect of sin, the damage it did to him, he is clean now, but he still looks ugly. That's the damage of sin. You see? Now, you look at somebody that is raised properly, they look beautiful. They look nice. What's wrong with that? You see? How much do you value yourself? You know, some people engage themselves in looking for wealth, looking for fame. Well, God doesn't put premium on those things. And God says the most important thing is the value of your soul, yourself. You are very valuable. You see, we keep focusing on what is least important for us. The most important thing for God is our relationship with Him, because that concerns eternity. But we really don't understand how valuable we are. You see? If I think I am valuable, I'll take care of myself. Yeah. I will not take drugs. I will not be a drunkard. I will not take chemicals in my body that will ruin me. Again, this pentanol, how do you call it? Yes, whatever it is, you know, that comes from China. It cooks the brain because it's all chemical. It's not organic. Can you imagine in the Philippines, those who were addicted to it? They are one of the news, they raped a two-week-old baby, and that is his niece. Just raped, 2 weeks old, and the explanation is because they went crazy, and there's no cure for that because it messes up your brain. Your brain is cooked. That's why you tend to keep saying they are already dead. They are already dead because of the damage that it did to them. And by the way, I had a couple of students before who were drug addicts, not with these things, just organic drugs. The way it damaged them. Yeah, I have a student who kicked the wall of our school for no reason. He walked in one Saturday afternoon and decided he kicked the wall. This is when drywall was first introduced to the Philippines. Our walls in Makati were already drywall. We don't call them drywall, we call them the gypsum board. Well, it turned out that's the name here. But he kicked the thing, and I went to my office Monday, and there is a hole in my wall. And I asked, who did this? None of the students will accept. Until one of my secretaries was very wise. He said, sir, I have an idea. Because, you know, Filipinos, especially if you're poor, you can't afford to buy many shoes. Your shoes is your shoes until that thing wears out. So he told me, my secretary told me, why don't you require all the male students to take off their shoes? So I told all the male students, take off your shoes. Yeah, I think I demanded the right foot because the indentation is a right foot. And my secretary matched all the shoes, and we found the culprit. It was a student of, he's a pastor now, but it's a student of the Bible school. And so I talked to him, I said, why in the world did you kick the wall? And he went like this, he said, I don't know, sir. I said, what are you doing? He said, I don't know, sir. I said, what's wrong with you? Because I could not understand. He looks decent and said, I don't know, sir. I said, why did you kick the wall? I don't know, sir. And so I asked him, what's wrong with you? And he told me his background. He became a drug addict, heavily affected by drug. It cooked his brain. And said, I'm born again. He said, I know, but there are times, he said, I just want to go wild. That's the effect of, I have the one in Bacolod, some of my team have met him already. That guy, I did a seminar for him years ago. He's also a drug addict. After the service, you know how some pastors will pray for people, mingle with everybody. After the service, what this guy will do is go to the platform and start kicking, having a spar with his associates in the platform. I said, what are you doing? Because I went to his church. After I prayed for everybody, service over, and they were kicking each other. I said, what's going on? That is in his system. He got old now, and he was tempered by some of the difficulties in his life, but the effect is there. I hope I hope you guys will appreciate that even after you get born again, the older you are, okay, and the deeper you were in sin, that old sin, that old nature will still has its influence on you. You have to renew your mind. You have to get for yourself a new heart. If you don't have a new heart, you will go back. As I was telling you, before being born again, I just want to finish college, get a job, leave the house, don't get married. If I need a woman, I'll just buy one. That's my thinking. Because, and I was thinking, most of the men in our neighborhood die by the time they're in their 50s. I was well prepared to die in my 50s. Well, God saved me, you know. I'm now 62, going 63, so I'm well over it. My father died in his 50s. You know, that's the mindset. Everybody dies at that age. It's a tough life. Well, I got born again. Without knowing this verse, I got me a new heart. I suddenly want the ministry. I want to teach. My heart changed, and nothing can change that. Get yourself a new heart. If you find yourself entertaining the idea that your past life is better, or maybe you could go back to it, you don't have a new heart. The Lord saved you, but you don't have a new heart. What is the equivalent for that in the New Testament? Remember the parable? When the devil leaves, he returns with 7 worse than him and found the house garnished. The word that was used there is where we get the word cosmetics. It was cosmetics. Some of us had just have cosmetics. We look beautiful on the outside, but ugly still inside. We put on perfume because we don't want to take a shower, thinking that by putting on perfume we will smell good. No, you still smell bad. Yeah, but people say I smell good. That's the perfume or the cologne. That's not you. The real you smells bad. That's why you shower yourself with perfume or cologne, but the real you still smells bad. How do you smell good? Take good care of yourself. You know, I tell my wife I'm low maintenance. I don't use cologne. I don't use I was asking my kids, what is a mask? I don't use masks. I don't know who among my kids, the first time they use, you know, I teach them how to shave. I have, you know, we're not very hairy people, but I remember I would like to laugh because one of my kids, I was teaching them how to shave. He bought for himself this foam. I said, what is that foam for? Well, I'm going to shave. Well, there's nothing there. You know? So you put a foam and you're shaving the foam, not hair, you know. So, but because he saw in the commercial, hairy people, they put a lot of foam. They're putting foam for what? You know, you need to understand that there is influence out there. You have to, if you don't recognize it, it will keep coming back to you. It will just keep coming back to you. Recognize it and you can beat it, but it will keep coming back to you if you don't recognize it. The second ignorance in that area of the delay is not only, number one, we don't understand the value of our human life or our human soul, we also ignorance on how precious Jesus is and his sacrifice on the cross. Religion devalued the sacrifice of Christ. You know. Now, I guess some of you, your parents who are poor, they were telling stories on how they grew up in the Philippines. No, we're poor, we're like this. I remember because Manny Pacquiao is one of the richest athlete in the world. I mean, I think he's worth something like $220 million. You know. I think the wealthiest is George Foreman, something like that, and then followed by Floyd Mayweather. but Manny Pacquiao is something like $220 million worth. In one of the documentaries about him, he went back to his hometown where he was helping clean boats for fishing, and he went down on the water and trying to pull the net. That's his old life. Of course, that was just a show, documentary, but that was his old life. Now, this is the problem now that we have. Your parents may be telling you stories like that, but you don't know that. And so we don't even appreciate the sacrifices that our parents made. I have seen some of the most ungrateful kids. I and I are working with someone, and he's looking forward for his son and daughter to come here. I mean, he petitioned them, and he got cheated monetarily, but he loves his kids. He was telling us, you know, we're doing this for our kids, all the sacrifice. And the sister attested, said, you know, every money he made, it goes to the Philippines. And he's always paying lawyers and paying house, paying tuition fee. I mean, he was looking forward, and we were talking. I said, well, when your son comes, he'll help you, right? He said, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. You know, his children came here, zero appreciation. Disrespected him. You know why? They don't know the amount of sacrifice he did. You know, some of the parents, because they were very poor in the Philippines, they come here to the U.S., they deprive themselves of the fellowship, the company. I told you about the story in Hong Kong years ago when we were doing Mary's seminar there, a Filipino. He was working in Hong Kong, and he thought he was paying off their house in the Philippines. And after working for so many years, he told his wife, I think we have the money now, the house is paid off. I'll just buy me a taxi in the Philippines and we'll have our own livelihood. And the wife keeps saying, no. Keep working. And he was wondering what happened. Well, it turned out the wife has another lover. And the house was not paid. He was working hard. You know how difficult the work of the Filipinos are in Hong Kong. Well, anywhere else. Basically, majority are maids or helps. And he was enslaving himself, and the wife got himself another lover. The house is not being paid. Why? No appreciation of the sacrifice of the man. And so on his way to the Philippines, when it was about to land, he excused himself and said, I'm going to go to the bathroom, to the toilet, in the airplane. Tried to kill himself in the airplane. The problem is this: he was staying long in the toilet, and when you were about to land, the pilot will announce, please fasten your seatbelts. We're getting ready for landing. Secure everything, and an announcement made, and his companion said to the stewardess, our friend did not return. He was in the bathroom. So they checked, and he was not responding. They forced open the bathroom. He took something, tried to kill himself. But he was found out, so they saved him. He survived. He said, I don't know how to face my family. I worked all these years. They have no understanding of the sacrifice that he made for his family. My wife gets irritated with that because my kids have no understanding of that also. We're trying to show them, but they have very little understanding. Because they wake up in the morning, there is cereal. They eat and they leave the dirt. No appreciation. And my wife will be complaining, my wife will be saying, you don't understand this, and you don't understand. They have no understanding, no appreciation. And this is the problem. We have no appreciation of the sacrifice that Jesus did. Do you know that for Jesus to be our Savior, He has to become a man? Right? He will never, the Bible says we will see Him as He is. That means, for eternity, He will never take off that humanity. Now that is a mystery I could not explain. Effectively, there is a man in the Trinity. Effective. All of us will be perfect when we go to heaven. Forget your pimples, no bald hair, no bald head. Some of you spend tons of money. You stretch your face so you look young, but you're still old because your body says old. You look young, but you look. Yeah. Some of us have lost our teeth. Well, all of that will be restored. But the Bible says Jesus will keep the, 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 the nail marks in his hand. He will be the only person in eternity with a set of scars. That's forever. And every time he sees that, and this is some of the mysteries I cannot explain, that's a reminder of what he did for us. And you know how much the Lord keeps reminding us, especially in the writings of Paul, on the sacrifice of Jesus. Because we forget and we lose appreciation of the value of the sacrifice of Jesus. We don't put value on our soul. We don't put value on what Jesus did. John chapter 1, verse 10. He was in the world, and the world was created through him, and yet the world did not recognize it. And I think that's part of the reason why we become very ungrateful. We have no... Now my wife is understanding my gratitude towards God. Because my wife will say, so this is... We will be watching a documentary and says, sweetheart, those shanties in the Philippines, are they real? I said, not only are they real, I live there. And she will tell me, so the Lord really bless you. She cannot say that of herself. Because she said at one time, I grew up poor also. And my kids will ask, how did you grow up poor, Mama? Well, we have 6 cars, we have to sell 2. And she calls that poor, We have 9 maids, we have to get rid of 1. We were poor. My mother cannot cook. So every day for lunch, Goldilocks, they prepare our meal because they were poor. And so I tell my wife, don't give me that because you're insulting me. If that is poor, I said, then what am I? Because she doesn't understand what and she will look at those shots and say, do people live like that? I said, yeah. And so I don't apologize, but I have great appreciation for what the Lord has done for me. Because compare, and I don't forget that because I do remember. And then I can compare, of course, with how my other siblings. I can compare with the other pastors, my colleagues, that didn't go anywhere. And I look at the opportunities the Lord has given me, and boy, I'm amazed. You see, you have to appreciate what the Lord has done for your life. And I know this, that the problem with kids born here. You don't know. That's why I counsel you, bring your kids to missions. The first time I bring my kids to missions, and they see those kids outside of Jollibee, and they say, ugh. Because they are eating, Papa, they eat that. Not only do they eat that, they lick the thing until no flavor is left. And one time we left Jollibee store, and I got me an order of a meal, and I gave it to this poor boy. And they were surprised because he did not take the meal and eat it. He took the meal and found the other little boys with him. And they share meal. They share. My wife was so embarrassed when we visit the grave of my father, because I think it was Joseph. There is an apple, and apple is not a daily food among the poor. And so apple was offered to my son, and he bit the thing. It was sour. And Joseph said, it's sour, and he threw it down. And one of my nephews picked it up. And Joseph says, oh, well, why did he eat that? And my wife was very upset. You have no appreciation of these things. You see? And that may be a very little illustration or comparison, but do we really appreciate? Look, if we have appreciation of the value of Jesus Christ, then nobody will come in second to him. You know why our kids, our husbands, our wives, our lousy boyfriends, our lousy girlfriends, you know why They take precedence over our lives because they are more valuable to us than Jesus Christ. Yeah. They are more valuable to us than Jesus Christ. But if Jesus is truly very valuable to us, all of those things take second place. Everything takes second place. Yeah. Like, I teach the scriptures the way I see it, regardless of what happened next. Because I value it more than anything else. Because I value it as I value God. Nothing comes in second. That's just it. You see? And we lost the concept of how valuable Jesus is. The other thing is this, why we delay, another ignorance. Ignorance on how precious time is. So we were being asked one time, how do you define time? And somebody quoted a book on management and says, time is life. For example, if you work for a company and the contract is you will work for this company 8 hours a day, okay? 8 hours a day. You will be paid, for example, $25 per hour. So for $25 per hour, 8 hours a day, you belong to the company. They bought your life for that period of time. Of course, people will not say it that way, but yes. You cannot go in there, and this is what you call as stealing from the company. You go in there and say, you have to work from 9, say from 8 to 4 or 9 to 5. 9 to 5, they own you. They can ask you to do your job under the contract. They own you. You know how some people cheat? They go there at 9 and drink coffee for 1 hour. You just cheated the company. Well, I'm trying to relax and gather myself. You should have done that before because by 9 you should be working. When I was building our house right now, Jess, one of the carpenters I hired, is a Christian. His grandfather is a pastor. And he told me this. He said, we will start working at 6 a.m. He said, by 5:30, I'm in the site. I said, what do you mean? Oh, I'm in the site by 5:30. I'm fixing my tools, I'm dressing myself, because by 6, I was supposed to start working. The foreman will scream, we start working. So any preparations you have to make, it has to be made before 6. At 6, we start working. We have breaks. He said the breaks are timed. You're given 30 minutes break, you finish your food, you rest. After that, you resume working. They own you. Time is life. We don't see it that way. That's why we waste so much time. Ephesians 5:15. Pay careful attention then to how you walk, not as unwise people, but as wise, making the most of the time because the days are evil. Don't squander your time, okay? As if there is no value to it. Some of us, we allow time to just pass us by. And we don't use it for what it is. You know, each time of the day has a value. For example, the Bible says, there is time for everything. A time to sleep, a time to eat, even a time to die. If it's not time for you to die, then don't die. There is a time to die. There's a time to eat. The reason why the Bible is saying there is a time for everything is because you're supposed to take your time and use that time properly. You know, when we start having kids, some experts who have no kids begin to say, by the way, Dr. Spock already says that some of his claims in his book are wrong. But, you know, I help take care of my siblings, so I know how to take care of kids even before I get married. So when we start having kids, some wise people, or well, at least some people who think they are wise, begin to counsel us, unsolicited counsel, saying, hey, listen, don't carry your baby all the time. I know the value of that. Don't carry your baby all the time. Because if you carry your baby all the time, they will be dependent on you, and they will always ask to be carried. Then you will not be able to work. And my wife and I were looking, and so my wife was asking me, so what are we going to do, sweetheart? I said, nothing. I will not listen to those people. She said, what do you mean? I'll carry my babies. I said, if they want to be carried, I'll carry them. I said, what do you mean? The counsel is not good. I said, according to them, I said, look at their kids. Look how they grew up. I don't want that. I said, Ann, our time with our kids are very limited. I said, the moment they start walking, they don't want to be carried. And I told my wife, I only have 2 years to carry them. Now that is, nobody told me that. I just said, I only have 2 years to carry them. I said, after that, I said, sooner or later, they'll be in pre-K, and then they will be in kinder. I said, they are out of the house so many hours a day. I said, this is the only time I have to carry them. I said, if they cry, I'll carry them. I'll feed them. That's the only time. You know that? That time had passed me already. I don't carry Joel anymore. That will be embarrassing, right? Yeah. I even composed a song for them when I put them to sleep. But you know, my wife missed that. I don't miss it. That time is over. But I'll tell you this with a clear conscience. I did not cheat any of my kids' attention. I did not. I gave wholehearted attention to all my kids. I influenced them. I talked to them. I prayed for them. I taught them. They are all very, very close to me. That is gone. I understand the value of time. You see. But some parents are very smart. You know, don't do this, and they write books. Yeah, but you lose your kids. Because you don't understand time. If I see something wrong with my kids, I correct it right away. Because I don't want them to create a habit. Time is valuable. But some of us are very smart. We say, well, I have plenty of time. They're still very young. Oh, you don't know your Bible. Do it while they are young. Because soon, that time will pass. And the moment, there was a time I was giving them a shower. I mean, DJ cried when I told her, I'm not going to give you a shower anymore. She refused to take a shower. Yeah. She said, Papa, give me a shower. I said, no more. You do it yourself, or you stay in the bathtub. Because there's a time for everything. But I'll tell you that, I did not cheat any of my kids my personal attention. I raised them with my wife personally. Yeah. I mean, if they want something to eat and I can buy it, I'll buy it for them. Because that will not always be. One day, all of them will have their work, and they'll buy whatever they want. Whatever the garbage. I look at some of the things that Joseph eats. I hope Kayla is correcting him now. I look at Joseph and say, why do you keep eating those Lunchables, you know? I said, well, why do you keep eating this garbage? And Joseph will say, it's healthy. I said, you believe those people? They're just marketing it. They say it's healthy, but they're not eating it themselves. And look at them, those chubby guys, you know? And they called it healthy. I don't know why people are so deceived in these things. And then they'll come up with a new one, a new healthy thing. Until it stops making money, a new healthy thing. And all of them are unhealthy. You see? Oh, but I'll tell you this. I don't cheat my kids on this one. Because one day, that will be gone. This time that we have, how much time do you and I have together? How much time? Now, if you will look back, some of the people who were here were gone. But I'll tell you this, I did not cheat them of the Word of God. I know that. I told you about the vision that God gave me. So I have decided to myself, I will teach the people the Word of God. Because one day, if they disobey the Word of the Lord, they will leave. When they leave, I don't want anybody to say, I did not teach them the Scriptures. Very little time. See, very little time. Some of the kids that are very young right now, John is teaching them. They're coming here, they're here right now. We have very little time with them. Very little time. We have to appreciate the value of this time. Make the most out of it. By the way, you married couples, I mean, you have to enjoy kissing each other, loving each other, because that is also very limited. Okay? One day you will get old. Now that you are young or younger, you look at each other and say, oh, handsome. Oh, pretty. One day you say, oh, who are you? Before, you look like the Miss Universe. Now you are Miss Ayaw namin. You know what that is? You don't know. Oh, Miss Michelin, okay, something like that. Uh, well, enjoy the wife of your youth. He didn't say enjoy the wife when she is old. I mean, sabi nga ng iba, amoy lupa na. You know? So that time is very limited. Even that time is very limited. We have, how long do you have to serve God? John McGovern, who's now a missionary in Russia, preacher once for us. At the age of 19, I think, or 20, coming from drug addiction, he went all over the world preaching the gospel. And when they drove him to Wayne, Fort Wayne, Indiana, he was going to preach there. I knew it was 5 hours drive. But he told me this because he was already getting old and he was ready to retire from the church in Hong Kong. He told me this, you know, Jose, I thank God I followed him when I was stupid. I said, what do you mean? I was around 20 years old, he said. I went all over the world. I pioneered the church in Hong Kong. He said, thank God I followed him when I was young. I said, why? He said, look at me. During the time I was over 50, going 60. He said, look at me, I'm old now, he said. If God tells me to do something right now, I won't do it. I'm old. I'm weak. Thank God I followed him when I was young. You know, some of our, that's why some people, when they give their lives to Jesus, it's a wasted life already. Yeah. Okay, you give your life to Jesus at the age of 70. You're going to go to heaven. Are you going to be useful in the kingdom of God? Well, maybe. You can say you are praying. But what, you think I'll take you to missions? We have some people that are already aging and they are going with us in missions and they know that. How long can they do that? How long? Look, I'm only 62, but I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. Thank God when I was young, I jumped on the boat and started doing the ministry all the time. I don't regret the days of my youth because I spent it trying to serve God. Time is very precious. You know, if you think you have plenty of time to serve God, you are so wrong. You don't know how much time you have. You have to please Him because you don't. And if you do certain things that will disrupt, can you imagine some of those people who had kids before being married? They have 2 firstborns or 3 firstborns. Well, I want to serve God if I have time. Yeah, because you wasted your time. Now your time is occupied with other things. And you call it a reason. No. There is a time to have babies. There is a time not to have babies. Okay? A time for everything. And when that time is, if your kids are small, time to raise them up in the fear of the Lord. One day they're going to be in school. You'll have more time. Then you ask yourself, what will I use my time for this time? If you don't know the value of your time, it will pass you by. Well, I'm busy. Busy doing what? Jesus said, I only do what I see my Father is doing. I only say what I hear my Father is saying. If we do something that is contrary to the will of God, it's a waste of our time. Thank God I started serving Him when I was young. Yeah. Because now that I'm old, you think I will go and pioneer. You know, I told God, maybe I said I'm open to pioneering a church in the Philippines still. Maybe one more church I'll pioneer. You see? Maybe one more. But that is a maybe. I just want to build a teaching center. But I'm open to still pioneering a church. Maybe. You know why? I'm getting old. I don't have all the energy now. But when I was young, I'll tell you this. When I was young, I used my strength. I used my energy in serving God, in pioneering and help pioneer churches. I went all over the place. I have no regrets. My wife says, you have a good life because I go home, they serve me. I have no regrets. Because when I was younger and I was strong, I abused this body, literally, to go and serve God. Used it for the Lord. Don't wait for your kids to get old to serve God. While they are young, you serve the Lord. Okay? And when you don't value that, is the last thing that I will say, then I'll quit on this one. We don't value these things because we also don't understand the wrath of God. We really don't understand the concept of hell. Yeah. Do I fully understand the concept of hell? No. I understand it by faith. I have never been to hell. You know, if you have a bad life, you say, well, I'm in hell. That's just an idiom of expression. We really don't know the eternal fires of hell. Because our bodies will be glorified, unbelievers or believers, but it will burn for eternity. Do you know what that pain means? No. You only take it by faith. How do you take it by faith? If you believe the word of the Lord. That's why you will endeavor to live right. And by the way, if you have that concept, you understand the wrath of God, you know that you cannot overcome sin by yourself. Therefore, you will attach yourself closer to God. You know, I've been reading my Bible regularly, okay, for years. But you know, there are times still I feel lazy about reading the Bible. So especially when you go to books like Leviticus, Numbers, here we go again, you know. And you have to struggle to understand what in the world does this mean? 25. Who cares? You know, get me a calculator or something. But I have to push myself to read books that I still buy books. I just bought 3 more books this week, and I have gone through all of them already and deciding what I will break apart. I still do that. You see, you need to have an understanding. By faith, God can be an angry God, you know, and we undermine that. It's just like if you're our threat, people will take you for granted until they realize you mean business. I warned, in closing, I warned a pastor before because he was not making any reports. I told him, last chance. I said, you don't make your reports, I will not support you anymore. He smiled at me. That was the last smile. After that, he refused. I said, I told you. I walked away from him. And he said, but Pastor, I said, no, Bots. I said, I warned you. I'm not going to waste my time dealing with you. You're an old man. I said, you have kids. I've sent your kids to school. I even sent your wife to school. I said, you're going to take it for granted. I said, that's the end of it. Walked away. My brother told me, you walk away like that? I said, yeah. Move on to the next project. Because time is precious. You stop delaying. You turn to God. You give your life to Jesus and mean it. Amen. Praise God. Let's have the. I forgot that we have communion today. And I saw them lining up.